You have a Zoom at times.
Jen's been up in Indiana for a month. Yeah.
I have reached out to the animals. Say, someone again.
All right, I got 6 o'clock.
Ah, I can imagine.
Sit anywhere you like. Feel free to rearrange the deck chairs. That's right. We all do.
Yesterday.
It is a memory. Right? Yeah. Well, thank you all for coming. Good evening. Welcome. I'm glad we got a live audience. It is, this is being recorded and also streamed live. And we'll be entertaining questions from this massive live audience here, but also folks online. My name is Vince Estrada. I'm the Director of Student Services for Maple Richmond Heights. I'm filling in for board member Loretta Colvin, who was going to moderate the panel tonight, but had a last minute scheduling change, so I was happy to step in. So thank you all for coming. This is the first time we've done this, although we thought about it many times, making the most of college visits. Yeah, there's so much information available to all of us about the college search experience because we have the internet. So there's AI helps, all this, but I think it's really powerful to actually hear firsthand from folks who've recently gone through the experience that are your neighbors and people that kind of feel connection to you and live in the same community. So we thought we'd try a different approach to really hear from parents about what that college search, college visit experience was, and kind of walk away with some tips about making the most out of college visits. And I think there are ways to do that are really intentional, that'll really allow you to enjoy the experience with your student and really have a fulfilling, not only will they be able to discern about their selection, but I think it really has an opportunity to create some really special relationships and memories with your student. And I'd say that from my personal experience. So I'll let the folks introduce themselves, our esteemed panel of parents of recent MRH grads. So if you don't mind saying your name, the name of your recent graduate, and where they're in college, that'd be great.
My name is Johnny Lewis. My son Ethan graduated last year. He's currently attending St. Louis Community College at Forest Park.
Thank you.
I'm Katie Myers. My son is Patrick. I still answer to "Hey, Patrick's mom" a lot.
When she walked in here.
Makes me happy.
Yeah.
He's a freshman at Mizzou this year.
Sure.
I'm Carolyn Green, and I'm mom of Grace Floyd and Ethan Floyd, who graduated 2 years prior. So Grace is at Millikan University, music ed major, and Ethan is at University of Evansville, Indiana, in mechanical engineering.
Milton's located in?
Decatur, Illinois.
Lovely Decatur, Illinois.
Toured some Illinois schools, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks. And can you tell us about their majors also while we're hearing about your kids? Yeah.
So Ethan currently is doing STEM with a focus in cybersecurity.
Okay.
Patrick is majoring in constitutional democracy and linguistics, with a bunch of minors he has planned.
It's an ambitious, wow.
That's right.
That's right.
Hoping we have a constitution or a democracy.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and I
Any
mentioned
of the
this.
students apply for or get A+ scholarship money?
Mhm.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Great question. So, and what's the great?
Oh, Grace, music education major, and then Ethan, mechanical engineering.
And are any of your students first generation college students? This is like their first, okay. All right, great. So so that's where they landed. So we know their names and their majors, but what campuses did you visit along the way that you kind of discerned before they made their final selections?
For us, we started local. We toured Lindenwood University, my alma mater, and then
Yeah.
Truman State, and then finished off with St. Louis Community College.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
We also visited William Jewell out in the Kansas City area, and Truman, and then Patrick's also spent enough time on the UMSL campus and the Lindenwood campus that we counted those as visits, unofficial visits too.
Cool. Yeah.
We get the feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We visited Illinois State University with Grace, looking at education, and then Millikan, and then for Ethan, we just toured Evansville's campus, and that was it.
Just one and done?
Yeah, I'm
Wow.
afraid so. Those were 3 really good tours, though.
Yeah. I like the way you guys, it was interesting how you approached that because you did give them a variety of time of schools to look at, like large urban, small college, kind of a mix. And that is helpful because then when they finally land on the spot, they have seen some of the menu and it really kind of allows them to see what really resonates for them.
the first question we asked Patrick was, how far do you want to be away from home?
Yeah.
And he's involved in a couple of different activities here in St. Louis. And so he still wanted to be able to come home easily
Mhm.
on some weekends or some
Okay.
weeknights.
Yeah.
And so that kind of limited geographical range,
Yeah.
which was a good place to start.
Yeah, yeah. So it feels like he's away from home, having a college experience, but close enough to kind of.
Yeah, far enough
Thank-
away that I can't just pop in, but close enough that he can bring his laundry when he comes home.
I think that actually is a parameter search in the college, in our Naviance program. So to any of you guys, what surprised you most about the early stages of the college search when you first started talking to your student about it? What were some of the surprises, things that you didn't anticipate that happened along the way?
For me personally.
Yeah.
It was a lack of interest.
Okay.
He wanted to go to college.
Yeah.
But as far as wanting to go and do all the college visits, that was not his thing. He was more focused on his grades and soccer and track. So he didn't want to take the time away from that to go visit schools.
Mhm.
So we primarily did it during the summer.
Okay.
Hindsight, I think it's better to do it during the school year because you get a better feel
Oh, I see.
of the college campus.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Any other surprises for either one of you guys?
Cost. I went to school last century where I was allowed to take out tens of thousands of dollars of loans. And they've changed all of that. So now I was going to have to take out tens of thousands of dollars of loans again for Patrick.
Right.
So it's smart. They don't let the kids just take out thousands and thousands, but I had no idea.
And we did a lot of just online searching. I was surprised at how much information I could get on
Yes.
each of
Yes.
campuses and what they were really known for. So we learned a lot about music schools or engineering schools by just doing a lot of Googling.
Yeah, I think generationally, so I'm much older than most of you guys in the room, everyone in the room, I should say. But I mean, back in the early days, it was like mailed packets and brochures and actually having to physically see campuses. But you can do so much digitally. Virtual tours are pretty good. I mean, they have
Virtual tours were.
yeah, I mean, they have drones. They really like, actually, the campuses show great virtually. Well, all the drones and the swooning in and out of bell towers and all that kind of stuff. But you can learn a lot online with schools, and I still encourage visiting them because there's nothing like being on the campus. But in terms of like gathering information, you can do a lot of pretty quick tours virtually as well, which is a tool that's in the last 5, 10, 15 years, I would say.
What I loved about going to the colleges though, depending on your major, there's a good chance that you can actually talk to a professor while you're there.
Yeah,
Because we did that both at Lindenwood and Truman, and it was definitely beneficial.
yes, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, Patrick set up an interview with one of the leads of the Constitutional Democracy Department. And so it was Patrick and one other kid and the parents kind of in the background.
Fantastic.
And so they had an 1.5 hour long meeting after one of our tours.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm convinced that that got him an additional $3,500 scholarship through that school. So,
I
you know,
can see that.
you put
Yeah.
FaceTime, right? You show up, you do the work, and sometimes you get the reward, but
Write that down. That's a tip.
yeah.
Was it the same school?
We went to Mizzou once for like the big student day, and then we went back again on admitted students day specifically for the Constitutional Democracy Poli-Sci,
Right.
like the group. I also thought that was incredibly valuable because Patrick was able to walk into campus on day one, having already made a group of friends
Yes.
and associates.
And can I follow up real quickly? So the standard college tour information session, how much different was that from this kind of admitted student day?
Size wise, it was very, very different,
Yeah.
and it was super tailored
Yes.
towards this group,
Yeah.
you know. Most of those kids were in the honors college, and so they were also able to show them the honors dorm and talk to them about the perks of that as well.
Yeah.
Some of this bigger one was, you know, kids that were going to be in everything from the nursing school to the J school to we have no idea school. you know.
Yeah,
Right, and that's what we found also that making the most of the tour day, the first tour day, it's really a good idea to reserve the whole day because they do offer a financial aid meeting, or they'll offer a meeting with the department in the department your student is interested in. So we really made use of that on all of our different days, was to just plan to stay for the day. And then the follow-up sessions, like you're saying, those are really good too. They are more tailored for the
Yeah.
where you're gonna go. But those the first tour days, we felt it was worth the time. And also to take the time to go to the optional dorm room tour. They really want to see the dorm room
Yeah.
tour.
Yeah.
yeah, dorm rooms have changed a bit.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Not, yeah.
Well,
not
sort
Illinois
of.
State, they didn't.
But not we're paid.
Sort of.
But no, that's definitely interesting to see the housing, and then
The meal options have changed
And-
quite a bit.
Yeah.
The meal
Food
packages
service,
and
yeah.
then the food options that they have in there. It's
Good.
no longer just a cafeteria.
Yeah.
Yes.
Chick-fil-A, Starbucks.
It's pretty different and
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah, we were talking earlier before they came that what's one of the things that's really changed in the four-year college kind of, or two-year college experience in search is that we have a shrinking population of students that are interested in going to college. And so these colleges are actually competing hard for your students.
Yeah.
That's not that they didn't want us before, but there was just more applicants. And there are still a lot of people applying because you can apply often with the Common App, but they are competing for a shrinking pool of eligible students. So I think I always tell students, you have some leverage and some power here.
Yeah.
Because they want you to come.
Yeah.
Especially when you're admitted.
Yeah.
Yes.
I read all the books, I did all of the online stuff, and so I have a lot of cliches here. And I told Patrick, you know, you're gonna bloom where you're planted. I'm not worried
Yeah.
about that with all of the MRH kids, but also go where you're wanted.
Yeah.
And so the follow-up that Patrick got from UMSL and from Mizzou was fantastic. One of the other school, sorry, William Jewell, they canceled the program that Patrick was applying for and didn't tell us. I had to reach out as the annoying mom for probably the last time to get that information. And that was a big turnoff for that school. But Mizzou, when we got our first round of financial stuff, there was an error and I emailed them and they responded within 15 minutes. And, you know, go where you're wanted.
How did you guys plan and prepare for your college visits? Like how much preparation and planning did you do? Did you do a lot? Did you just kind of schedule it and go? How did you guys organize those trips?
Well, every school has a calendar and you can pick your days.
Yeah.
It's great. It's so user friendly.
Yeah.
We just really tried to fit our schedules.
Mhm.
Something that was going to be right for him, his day off, where he was not going to miss a game
Right.
or practice or
Mhm.
something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they have really good scheduling software. Wait, I was just gonna comment on that. The online, the ability to click, we're interested, they send you a, you know, some back and forth. It was easy to pick the day. They want you, I mean, they make it easy for you to
Okay.
come and have a tour.
I would agree with
It
that.
was very personalized, but yeah, it was, we just picked way in advance so we could get a day that worked for us.
Yeah.
And then when we went, they were ready for us. We had a parking spot at the front door with Ethan's name on it. And
Yeah.
I think
See, they're
Really
competing for those
that-
kids.
yeah,
Yeah.
when we parked
Parking
right in
spot.
parents of Ethan Floyd. Anyway, but yeah, that wasn't very hard to do. It's just doing it in advance, I think, was helpful.
So here's a question I have for you. It's not on the script, but I just thought about it. So tip for the families, when you're on a visit with your kids and you want them to have agency and for them to own the process. So where, like, did you have thoughts about where you should walk in relation to them on the tour? Did you like pepper them with questions? Did you ask them to prepare? Like, how did you manage that process? And every student's different about that. Leave me alone, Dad. Like I had a way to do it with my, and I did it different with all three of my kids. So I was kind of wondering if you had tips about that. So I think that's part of the process is that you don't want to like eliminate that stress for them and kind of let them really enjoy the experience and kind of.
They were glad we were there.
They were glad you were there?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot of other parents and a lot of other kids.
Yeah, at all of the tours, they separated us. You know,
Did
they
they?
put the parents over
Oh, yeah,
here
they
and the
do
kids
some
over
of that,
there.
yeah, when
At one of them, you
That
know,
was
you
good.
walk in, they give you a packet, they gave us a meal ticket
Right.
for the day.
Yep.
And then as we did the parent tour, they're like, okay, everybody here, do you have your kid's meal ticket? Raise your hand if you have your kid's meal ticket. And then they scolded everybody that had their kid's meal ticket. Because they're like, your kid is going to college in just a few months. You have to let go. And so, you know,
That's pretty good.
yeah, so it was a combination of guiding Patrick towards the questions that we wanted him to ask. So we prepared in the car.
Yeah.
What do you want to ask? What do
Yeah.
you want to do? What do you want to see? But then once we got there, just, okay,
Yeah, yeah.
you lead the way.
Yeah. And then what about the debrief? So you've done the visit, you did the information session, the tour, maybe you went to a couple other sessions, saw a professor, went to a coffee shop, you're heading home. How did you manage the debrief? Any tips on that part? Helping them unpack it and kind of really think about their experience.
I went right back to the same questions I asked Patrick when he was at the ECC. Tell me a good thing, a bad thing, and a crazy thing.
Oh,
You know, and then just let the conversation weave from there. We stopped to get French fries because everything's easier over French fries.
100%. Yeah.
But I had to be very careful not to put my opinion out there first.
Yeah. Everything we learned in kindergarten. So you went back to this ECC and
Yep.
I love that. Any other, how about you guys in terms of the debrief with your kiddos?
So-
Everyone's different, so,
We decided to do it while we were there. We stopped for lunch
okay.
in the town so we can get a feel of how the town was.
Mhm.
Mm,
Especially going to Truman State because it's more rural and going from Maplewood, St. Louis Metro to further out, you're so used to having all these different amenities and things right at your whim to where, okay, what are we gonna do on the weekends? Where are you gonna eat? All these different little things. And he was asking questions to our server while we were at the restaurant as well, because that person actually grew
Oh,
up in
yeah,
town.
yeah.
So it was a good way to get an idea of the lay of the land.
Yeah.
For him to make that decision whether you wanted to be rural or not.
Yeah, that's good. How about you? The debrief.
We just had to be tempted not to say, woo, we love it, let's do it. Because there were other schools to look at. So
Yeah.
it's just, we're like chill. We're like, okay, that's kind of neat, but let's just see what the next one looks like.
Yeah. So in the debrief, did they end up asking you your opinion? Like, I know you gave them some space, but did they ever say, what did you think, mom or dad? Did they ever ask you that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you know. But again, I had to be careful of what I said and didn't tell Patrick that I thought he made the right choice until after the paperwork was all signed.
Oh, that's good.
I did buy a sweatshirt from the Mizzou gift shop. I didn't buy a sweatshirt anywhere else, so, but
That's
it's
a,
cute.
that's a tell.
Very Mizzou
There were a
sweatshirt.
lot of parents like that, yeah.
If you're on a tour with a tiger tail, probably not too subtle.
Yeah.
You know?
There was also one very grumpy dad in a KU shirt, so.
Oh, man. He should have been in a separate room. Did you get, okay, so this is an interesting question I've never seen before. Did you, at any time in your visits, did you ever feel out of place or not seen? Did you have any bad visits, awkward visits, any awkward moments? And if so, how did you guys navigate that?
Mine were great.
Yeah, one of ours was a little more awkward. It wasn't well organized. It started 20 minutes late. You know, when we got to the cafeteria, every kid ended up sitting at a different table. There was no mixing, there was no mingling. The person that we talked to the most, her name was Kiki, and she worked in the cafeteria, and she was fantastic.
Mhm.
But there was no personal interaction from anybody else.
Yeah.
Oh,
I liked Kiki a
Yeah.
lot.
Hey, remember you brought her up. in the-
wow.
I sent
Shout
an
out.
email about how wonderful Kiki was, but
Shout out months later. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, ours were all pretty good. So I'm
Yeah.
not, yeah.
Okay, let me see what we got.
Don't be shy, make a reference to the other question.
Actually, I'm gonna take a break because I'm looking at these kind of,
Yeah, lots of
kind of backup questions. Does anyone have any questions for the panelists? Anything they want to ask?
Did anyone do a virtual tour? And then I might have missed it, or if you said it's a virtual tour and then went to the place, and if so, how?
So we
Take
did.
Take that question for
Yeah.
the benefit of the report.
So the question from the audience is, did anyone do a virtual tour and then do an in-person tour? And what were the differences between the two? Is that correct?
So it was kind of fun because we did the virtual tour as an informal, we walk through where you are interactive, you just walk around and explore. When we got to the place in person, it was pretty cool. It was like, oh, we know this place. Oh, this is the such and such chapel. We know this already. So it was kind of a familiarity thing that was a benefit.
Were there any virtual tours where you actually met online with a
Oh.
professor?
We didn't do anything formal.
So the question was there any virtual tours that we had the opportunity to meet a professor online? And it says, you said,
Ours were just the walkthrough
Yeah.
that were informal. We didn't have any virtual meetings.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
okay.
We had options for some. I think Drake was one of those schools that offered that, but we chose not to do it.
Okay. Great. Any other questions? I mean,
And we have guidance office experts here too, who,
experts,
okay?
they are.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, during COVID, we started watching, there were some virtual tours on Amazon. I don't know if they're still up. But that was when I was trying to get, you know, some of the big questions answered, you know, do you want a big school? Do you want a small school? And so you could just look at everything when you do that. Do you want to be close? Do you want to be far away? But we didn't do anything super organized.
Yeah.
How much did the cost of college impact your decision? Like after you talked with financial aid, got scholarships, you know, you knew where your child was academically. How much did that impact your final
So
decision?
you probably heard that, but the question was how much did the financial kind of considerations, cost, financial aid impact the decision, and probably when at one point did it impact the decision? Yeah.
We told Patrick, don't fall in love with the school, fall in love with the financial aid package.
Mhm.
You know, especially if he wants to go on to law school afterwards, save your money for something like that. It's well, so far we are paying like $3,000 for the entire year.
Wow.
That's another thing we found out at one of the tours is that they were looking for kids to do research. And so Patrick applied and he has a research position freshman year. working on the Kansas-Missouri border wars, putting on a podcast with these different people. His advisor, I caught on TV a couple times. He was on the CBS Morning News talking about the research that Patrick and this kid were doing. So, but I wouldn't have found out about it. Patrick wouldn't have found out about it if we hadn't gone to the tour.
And met with the professor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Any other, anything? Yeah. What about the financial considerations for you two?
Well, there were definitely differences, state university versus a small private university, but in the end, we were able to get enough information on scholarship opportunities that it leveled out enough that we went with the way we wanted to go.
Yeah.
So.
The net
we were-
price calculator on the school's websites are very accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every school is required by law to have those, and they're very accurate and sometimes very frustrating.
Yeah, that's right.
Very.
Yeah.
For us, it was a key decision maker. And it wasn't even on our end, it was more on Ethan's side.
Mhm.
Because his vision was to have no debt.
Yeah.
So between having the A+ program and then Access Point, that program is a STEM program here in St. Louis. And so he's not paying anything at all for school.
Smart.
Wow.
And good choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's good.
And with job placement,
With job placement.
Yeah. And every
It's still
student's
a-
different about, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just share this just for what it's worth in terms of the financial, I think the financial considerations should be a factor in the decision-making process, for sure. I think the timing of it is what you really want to think about. And the thing is, like, there's some sticker shock with some of the private universities. They're stunning. But a lot of the private universities have more institutional aid to offer their students. So often it levels up depending on your income. So the price of Mizzou on the front end is very different than, University of Chicago. They're just triple the cost of University of Chicago. But University of Chicago has more institutional aid to give the students. So you might get more, you might end up being pretty close to even.
you
It's
can't,
interesting you say like fall in love like with more the financial aspect, because I feel like maybe we were taught like, where can you see yourself going to school? Fall in love with the school and then make the financial aid part work.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to go into this thinking like, you may fall in love with the one school, and then what if that doesn't work out financially? Like, where do you go from there?
my dad really wanted Patrick to look at his alma mater.
Yeah.
And he kept saying, well, I'm sure there are merit scholarships. I'm sure there are merit scholarships. Well, Dad, there are like 3. Georgetown doesn't give out merit. They give out basketball
That's
scholarships.
right, that's right.
And so finally I sat down with my dad and pulled out the net price calculator. I'm like, here's what I make, here's what Jason makes, and we are in the middle class donut hole. And don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining, but it's not worth it for Patrick to go to school somewhere like that where we would have to take on debt, he would have to take on, tremendous amounts of debt.
Yeah.
I don't mind if he comes back and lives at my house for a while. I don't want him to live in my basement forever.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's also why it's important to start that process early.
Mhm.
Because every school has scholarships, especially the state schools where they have Missouri scholarships, but they only give out so many. So whether it's the presidential or whatever, the deans.
Yeah.
If you're not one of the first ones in there, you're gonna miss out on that money.
The other thing I would say about the financial aid part is in terms of falling in love, it's like sometimes when you get a financial aid packet, all of a sudden you love that school a lot more.
Mhm.
You know, the school you thought was just okay, when they're giving you a full ride and they really want you, and you made the statement before, oh, why they really want me? All of a sudden, it's kind of like dating in high school. It's like
Yeah.
all of a sudden you like them quite a bit, And so it's sort of fluid, it's like you want them to see the schools without like knocking them out of the eligibility because of financial aid, but you also want to make sure that's a reality. And the other thing to think about, there's probably more than just one right school for your student. There's a group of schools that they could all thrive in. So you don't have to think, oh, this is my one and only chance to go to the right school. There's a cluster of schools that your kids would thrive in. So the financial aid is an important part of that formula for sure. Any other questions for these guys? Yeah. Go ahead.
Is there a recommended timeline as far as thinking like activities that they should be doing in preparation? I mean, obviously college visits and then ACT and all those things. There's something that maybe would publishes that we could kind of, gravitate towards, or is there something that you guys recommend that you guys followed?
You guys answer this
Yeah,
question.
okay, so
We benefited
a great question from the audience about, okay, What's the timeline about when you start thinking about ACT, college visits, applications? And the parent panel wisely is deferring
To the
to the college counselor. I think they could answer it, but I think our college counseling team, Sydney Perkins and Justin Hart are going to come up and answer that
There
question.
was no financial.
next.
No, I know that. Come up, you guys.
Sydney, take this one, I think, little, adjustments. Thank you. There's all this extra use time.
The question was about timeline, like sophomore, junior year, what do you think? So kind of the big rocks, big timelines, big milestones.
I would definitely say I suggest like it's never too early to start thinking about the process because a lot of students they express how it feels like freshman through maybe like first semester junior year. It's like, oh, be thinking about it. Cool. Junior year is like, okay, now really be thinking about it. Now senior year, do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I wasn't thinking that hard. So I would definitely say it's great to start that conversation early. I'd say definitely sophomore year, I'd say if you can really get that conversation going. I thought that was a really great suggestion, thinking about kind of distance of how far you want to be potentially was a really great that was a really great starter to that conversation. And so, like, as you kind of start thinking about sophomore year, what does your life look like after high school? What are you thinking about doing? Like, starting that conversation and then also partnering with your high school counselor to also start taking classes that maybe potentially line up with what you want to do after high school. So you can start really seeing if that's really what you want to do or maybe not. And then once you kind of start doing that, going into junior year, continuing taking those classes, scholarships open up throughout. I'd say scholarships open up sometimes for juniors as well. So even kind of be thinking about that as well. There's some sophomore scholarships, freshman scholarships. So it definitely, if you're in need, there's some things out there. I try to send as much that comes my way. But junior year, kind of getting into it, building that college list of just kind of schools that I love this, I like this, and also kind of being realistic with your student about like, hey, if we're at that 3.0 mark, maybe we shouldn't be looking at WashU. Let's look at a different school. Starting that conversation, and then by that second semester of junior year, that's when they start taking the ACT, and that's when they really start getting realistic about what it looks like getting into schools, going into the summer, starting those kind of essay per se, working on it. I really suggest students, oops, did it turn off? Oh, I really suggest to students to really kind of, if you can, start that prep work for your college essays and your college work after junior year that summer, because senior year you're just not going to want to. Like they're not going to want to. It's going to be like a part-time job. It's going to feel like strenuous, and they're just gonna, I'm so long-winded. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
But
But they're all good nuggets.
They are
Oh,
the nuggets.
thanks.
So the one question is like on the, so in that overall schemata, when should you start mapping out and sticking your toe in the water on college visits? Like when do you start doing those? And how do you like when's like a good time to start? When's a good time to sort of wrap up college visits? And then you guys can also chime in when you guys did it.
We started putting Patrick on college campuses, in like baby steps when we could, we take lots of walks. Okay, well, let's walk through the WashU campus and see what it looks like. Hey, we happen to be downtown or, in Midtown. Let's go and see what SLU looks like. Hey, you've got a concert at UMSL. Let's park way over here. And so we'll walk through the Millennium Center, which sounds really dated now. It was really fresh when I was there. But just getting him on a college campus early so you can kind of get a feel for what it is, and kind of help motivate you wanting to go there if that's the path for you. And we also talked about trade schools and we talked about job, and he for about 30 seconds talked about the military, but just not closing off any of the doors for him.
Yeah. How about the rest of you? When did you guys start doing
We
college
probably
visits?
fall, let's see, summer between junior and senior year.
Yeah.
Really is when we really got them scheduled. And we were trying not to go in the summer because there's not as many kids on campus and that kind of thing. But I think we did one of them in the fall of the senior year, but we had already kind of revved up to start scheduling
Yeah.
the summer before senior year.
Yeah. How about you, Johnny?
Yeah, we started senior year. We started talking to him junior year,
Right.
but he didn't want to do anything then.
Yeah.
But senior year is when it really got, oh crap, it's gonna happen. Okay, we gotta
Yeah.
do something. So
Yeah.
then he started, but a lot of his friends started doing something around junior year.
Yes.
I mean, there are kids that did like 20-some school visits.
Yeah,
All over the country.
wow,
But
fun.
he did not want to go far away, so that was nuts.
Yeah.
But as Katie was saying, that question about distance and the school size, I mean, those are probably outside of the financial, those are two of the biggest things,
Yeah.
especially coming from a smaller high school.
Yeah, I will say Patrick was worried about going to somewhere the size of Mizzou, coming from Maplewood, and we got onto campus, and he's like, Mom, I don't think I'm ever gonna see anybody I know. And like I had planned it, Baron Trumper, who graduated the
Yeah.
year before, rolls on high. Okay, so Patrick does bump into the kids that he went to school with, but now that he's picked his major and he has his freshman interest group, it feels like he's in a really small school at a really big school.
Yeah.
It's all about your community. You
Yeah.
just gotta find your community.
Yeah.
Oh, and about community, there are Facebook groups for all of the schools, for the parents groups. They're wildly entertaining. Some of those parents are unhinged. There was one the other day where the mom wants to know how to get the cap and gown for her senior son. I'm like, lady, figure he should have this taken care of. But
You'll get an email.
you can also get some really good information that way, just by kind of lurking on some of those.
She still has his meal ticket from the information.
She's still doing his laundry, isn't she? Yes, yeah.
Justin, any tips about when the kind of the college visit schedule that you would recommend if they're interested in?
Yeah, just dovetailing back, and the early exposure is critical. I think junior year is when the action planning really gets set in motion. I think of college planning as kind of like a momentum builder. So ninth grade year, you're slowly kind of thinking about it, but you don't want to. And as you get closer to junior year, that's when the ball really needs to start to roll. So the second semester of junior year is really when the lists should start to formalize. And if students are needing help with college lists, that's where Ms. Perkins or myself can help with that. And then you're really mapping out college visits second semester of junior year going into the beginning of senior year. Just so you don't feel behind. And in addition to, as Ms. Perkins was saying, this is like the first decision that a teenager gets to make for themselves. So there is some internalized stress. So the more thought and time they put into it, the lesser of the weight the decision will feel.
I mean, a pretty traditional college visit schedule is using a spring break or junior year to kind of see a couple schools, kind of whet your appetite.
Yeah, that's
To
good.
do some summer visits, even though there's not always kids on campus. Like a school like Mizzou will have some kids on campus. The small liberal arts schools will not, because they don't even have summer school typically. But there's still, like, the summer's the easiest time to visit schools because you can do multiple visits over a week and that kind of thing. But that's a pretty typical. And then once they're admitted, if there's 3 or 4 schools they're interested in going back for admitted student stays, they'll wine and dine you. That is a different experience, man.
Yeah.
They're feeding you better. Everything, the rooms are better.
Yeah.
Is that when you've been admitted, but you haven't committed?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now they want you. Now they want your kids.
You've been accepted,
But
but now we need to get you there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a,
Take for us to
And
say.
oh yeah.
They put Grace in one of the choir classes. She got to stand next to the juniors and sight read music in the alto section, and she was having a great day. Sample class.
Patrick did the same,
Like,
yeah.
wow, I'm
So-
already here singing in their choir.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Since
Could I also say something?
yeah, of course.
I'm not entirely sure kind of what the scope is as far as like parent grade level, but I would also like to say if you are a senior parent, it's not over. The fight is still, you're still in it. Maybe seek a little assistance, some help, because it is February, but I don't know where everybody is.
And by the way, can you introduce yourself to the group so they kind of know who you are?
Oh,
Yeah.
hi, I'm Sydney Perkins. I'm the college advisor here at Maplewood Richmond Heights. I work through a program called the Missouri College Advising Corps, housed on Mizzou's campus through AmeriCorps. But yeah, that's me.
And a Mizzou graduate.
Oh, I am. Yeah, Fight Tiger.
That's right. That's great. And we've actually, Maplewood's had a partnership with the College Advising Corps for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
at
think
least,
we've been pretty lucky.
partnership with WashU initially and now with Mizzou the last 4 or 5 years, it's been a really invaluable resource. I wish it was continuing. I think this might be our final year with the College Advising Corps, unless they get some funding.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
mean, we're gonna ask.
yeah.
But it's an extra set of hands, and they're recent college grads that have gone through this process and recently and really are able to connect with our students in a really powerful way and really focus on that experience for them. So it's been great having you.
And we piggyback a little bit about what she's doing with seniors too, because I know, like, for example, there are some pretty unique things that kids get here.
Mhm.
And just Sydney, I'd like you just kind of highlight some things you're doing.
Oh, so I guess right now for students, we're having a Get Your Money Up kind of month. For the students, just kind of encouraging them to take ownership of the process, apply for scholarships, where to find scholarships and funding and things of that nature. It's definitely interesting working with Maplewood, Richmond Heights students, because you gotta give them interesting names and interesting titles and food. So it's been like a lot of canes, a lot of pizza. Hey guys, come work on your scholarships with me. We also have representatives coming from the Scholarship Foundation, also to talk with students, kind of give them the inside scoop. I'm also having a scholarship workshop for parents on February 19th via Zoom, 5:30. I have some flyers if anybody's interested in that, but just a representative from the Scholarship Foundation who's just talking with our parents, giving them the inside scoop. So the parents can also be aware of what the students are doing, can be doing, should be doing, that sort of thing. But also along with like college stuff, I know probably everyone here is more so focused on college with their student, but I also work with different military branches to reach out for students, trade schools, things of that nature, and just kind of helping our students feel a little bit more confident in the planning after high school.
Right. Yeah. And the reason I wanted to highlight that is because I know we have maybe some mixed groups in here.
Yeah.
And I really am a strong advocate for early involvement. So essentially, if there's a senior specific event, if she talks about scholarships, I really feel like even if you have an underclassman, it's never too soon to engage in these opportunities. Just because it's going to normalize the process, it's going to take a little stress off of you as a parent. But if students have that information early and often, like, they're going to be more ready to make that decision on their own.
That also just reminded me of something. I'd also say like something that I really encourage our students to do is like really, again, take ownership, be proactive, but also network and make connections with visitors, with people who are coming to the school. Not to brag, but for example, we had one senior who made a connection with a college rep who was visiting here on campus during one of our events, and she not only got into the school, they threw a little party for her. The college rep came, brought all these things, and also offered her scholarships and things of that nature. So it's like, because you're able to make those connections, network, build those relationships, again, it makes it more profitable for your student in the end of the day.
Yeah, and we have another example just like that. In the fall, we had a college fair where a student of ours made a connection with the rep, who then wanted to come to our school, and they were going to offer some specific scholarships to our students. And we just recently found out that one of the students got a pretty sizable scholarship just because of that one conversation they had with the representative. So making those connections is so critical, especially when you're thinking about the examples that the parent panel already shared, but when you're thinking about positioning yourself of feeling wanted and also sizing down the cost of college. Yeah,
Those are great anecdotes.
Yeah.
For sure. The personalized visits. I mean, Patrick's a one-man financial aid guy. He's meeting everybody.
Okay, so one more thing about money.
Yeah. Money's important.
Pay attention to the finances of the colleges that you're looking at too. I have some parent friends that sent their kids to Fontbonne and then were scrambling when they said that they were closing. Another school that Patrick was looking at, it's not on the list. Patrick once thought he wanted to go into math. Turns out he just really likes MRH math teachers, not math in general. But one of the schools cut their entire math department right before he was supposed to go there. Another school, when I asked them what the size of their endowment is, I work with endowments at work. That's a weird question to ask, but they didn't know.
Yeah.
And then they did end up cutting the department that Patrick wanted to go to. So just pay attention to what the finances are like at your school. Some of these smaller liberal arts schools are having a lot of trouble. Some of the public universities, Truman's enrollment's down 20% last year. Just be careful.
Well, I'm gonna ask the parents a couple more questions. 'Cause I think we're near the end of. Are we doing
Pretty
time?
close. I just remind our folks at home or wherever they are on Zoom, if they want to pop in, please do. We're
Yeah.
a little bit short on time, but I don't mind going over.
So what's one thing you would absolutely recommend to parents whose kids are gonna start this journey in terms of the college visit and the college going process? What's one thing you'd recommend to them?
Communicate, but don't be overbearing.
All right, great tip.
Spend some time in the town, like Johnny said earlier. Talk to your waitress, or well, you didn't get a waitress at Booch's, talk to the guy at Booch's. Talk to the random students that you see on campus. Pay attention to whether or not everybody looks like they're happy or if they look like they want to tear their hair out. Just keep your eyes open and then, yeah, just kind of casually drop those things. And did you notice how clean that campus was?
How about you, Carol?
Well, more of the same in the day of the tour to plan to hang around just a little while if you can. I know the temptation is to get out of town, but we would walk around a little bit just to see, make sure we saw the whole campus for the most part. Are there a lot of busy streets that are, you got to do a lot of crossing over these larger campuses, and where would you hang out if you came here as a freshman?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we just did a little more kind of walking around after the tour was over,
Okay.
snooping around kind of stuff.
And then the final question I had on my list, and we open the questions, is do you have any reassurances that you want to share with our audiences about this process?
Enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does go by really fast. But I know that it's very important that you keep on top of your child as far as checking off all the boxes throughout the year. In the Missouri A+ program, our district is one of those districts that signs every child up for that program. And it's amazing how many people do not know anything about it. So, I mean, that's just money out there for you.
Yeah.
But you have to make sure your kid does all the charity things that they have to do, or
Attendance.
yes. So there's all these little things that they have to do to be compliant.
Any other things I want to shoot? Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know anything about the A+ program.
What's to
Is
speak
there-
about?
is there like
Okay,
a
come on up,
quick-
Huffman.
We do like a quick, I'm sorry, like a quick, like 1 minute.
No, that's
summary
a
of-
great question. The question was, what is the A+ program?
I'm
Yeah.
the A+ coordinator for our school. So it's a merit-based scholarship. So students can get free money for community college in the state of Missouri. Books obviously have to be paid for, but 100% tuition as long as you maintain 95% attendance over 3 cumulative years. You have a 2.5 GPA or higher, advanced or proficient on the Algebra 1 EOC, or there are also some other ways to qualify with pre-ACT math subset score or even ACT math subset score plus GPA. You can have nothing on your discipline record that is considered drugs, alcohol, weapons, anything like that. So and then they have to do 50 hours of tutoring. So 25% of those hours can be community service, but it's free money.
The tutoring or they receive the tutoring?
They do the tutoring for others.
They volunteer, yeah.
They volunteer, and we take care of a lot of that in-house for our students who apply to be part of the program. And even if your student isn't going to a community college, I reiterate this all the time with all the seniors, sign up for it. Because a lot of colleges will give you money, even if they notice the A+ stamp on your transcript.
Yep.
You can get between $500 and $600. So why not, right? It's
When
so
does that start? Like when do you enroll?
their freshman year. So you would
Everyone's
fill out
enrolled.
everyone's
Everyone's
enrolled,
enrolled.
everyone's enrolled.
Yeah.
Because you're all enrolled here, right? And we're an A+ school. So the way it works though is you would typically kids are coming now, but their junior year, they'll come and say, Ms. Huffman, I want to do the A+ program. And we get them to fill out the paperwork. And then they start keeping track of their hours. We make sure that they're signed up to be a teacher's aide, to be able to tutor, or that they're able to help tutor during academic lab, or if they go over to the ECC, things like that. So we're able to really help them set up those connections to make sure they have everything. The biggest thing that gets kids is the attendance rate.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So that 95% attendance is hard. Mhm.
Yeah.
That one is hard. And then sometimes it is also the math, the Algebra 1 proficient or advanced on the end of course exam. But typically by the time they hit their junior year and they're taking the ACT more and more, we're able to see that math subset score be high enough, but then it means you need to have a higher GPA. So
There's some flex once they get.
there is some flexibility, yeah.
Sorry, just to clarify, the 95% attendance rate is during high school?
Yeah.
Mhm. Cumulative, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's a process, let's say a student, something happens one of their years and, their attendance isn't the best. They're able to write a letter to an appeals committee to be able to appeal that attendance rate to say, hey, this is, what's been going on in my life and that's why my attendance suffered. And so we review that letter and make a decision based on that.
Thank you.
That's a
You're
great, no, I'm
welcome.
glad you asked. That's a Missouri-based program.
It is, it's
Yeah.
Missouri and it's merit-based
Been
scholarship.
around for, gosh, decades.
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
So.
Does trade schools count as it as well? or
Some
does
of them
community
take
college?
it, some of them don't. So it kind of depends. There is, if you search Missouri A+ scholarship, there's a website, and I'll put it in my newsletter, everyone, at the bottom and under quick links if we want to look it up, but it'll be colleges that accept that. So I'll put it in the Blue Devil Bulletin coming out. Ed, how does that sound? But there are some trade schools that will accept, not all of them. It'll give you a little bit of money, maybe not 100% free tuition.
Does it show what their attendance percent is?
No, that's not calculating appropriately. We're
Okay.
working on that in the
Okay.
background. We switched from daily attendance where it was just using first hour as a bridge period. We switched to minute-based attendance this year, halfway kind of through. And so it's not calculating.
So we have to contact you guys. Okay.
You're asking so right now from the parent view, it's not calculating correctly.
No,
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
But we can see
We
it
can
on
see
our
it.
end.
So I can call you like.
You can call me and say, hey, what's his attendance?
Yeah,
Yes,
are we doing okay?
Yes.
Competing on the other-
yes, yes,
You don't
yes.
wanna mess this up.
Yes.
of attendance.
Miss Ward, our Director of Data Assessment and Accountability, she pulls every semester. I get a report. I get their cumulative attendance. I get their scores, or if they've had any updated ACT scores, subset for math. I get all of that information. So she pulls it for me every year. And every semester.
Do we have time to talk about Naviance and ICAP a little bit or?
I'm not gonna shut the Zoom down.
So the one of the things we wanted to take away, I mean, this is something that we have not, MRH has not done a fantastic job of advertising, put the word out, but we're trying to be more committed to sharing with our parents about Naviance, which is a platform that we use for kind of post-secondary planning and for college applications, and also the ICAP process, individual career academic path. Those are two things that we use to help students kind of find their way in and out of high school. But we have not done as great a job getting parents engaged on that. So we wanted to kind of like just touch on that tonight to kind of at least give you guys some basic awareness about that. And I don't know if one of you guys wanted to talk about it.
Jump in. So
Okay.
Naviance is a college and career planning tool. So every student at MRH High School has an account. So it's linked in their school links. And essentially there's a menu of things that students can do with Naviance, everything from college searching to actually creating a resume. And then when they become a senior on that college track, that's kind of how they're flagging where they're applying and how we're sending school documents off. So for example, like if I have a senior and they want to know when we sent their transcript or any of their school documents, it timestamps all that. And it also timestamps when the school has downloaded the documents as well. But on the planning side, on the early year experience from 9th and 10th grade, they're doing a series of assessments in their academic lab. So like there's a personality assessment, there's a career assessment. There's a menu of assessments that students can do that are like self-inventory based to kind of guide them in the decision-making process. Now it looks a little different from student to student, but essentially the menu of things they can do are all organized around college and career readiness, and guiding them in the planning steps and natural action items they need to do before they reach senior year.
That's a good summary. And so,
Where is that access?
So on the student's MRH Chromebook, in their bookmarks on the left-hand side, there's something called ClassLink. And so there's a menu of apps. Naviance is embedded there, but it's part of our MRH bookmarks. So students all have an account, and when they log in, they actually log in using their Gmail, so it automatically syncs using Clever. But essentially it takes them right there.
So
So
you
if you were
guys
gonna-
focus on it, say, hey, I heard about Naviance.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
you open it up and show me what you've done? I'd love to see that. And they should have taken some assessments by now.
Yeah, they've already.
One of the, I mean, we underutilize a little bit, but I think one of the cool things about that platform is as you do assessments and they begin to kind of learn more about your relative strengths and interests, it connects you to careers and colleges. It's sort of it kind of helps with some pretty sophisticated math. Like, so you scored this, you have areas of interest in STEM, you could be an engineer. Here's some schools in Missouri that have engineering schools. So it does allow you to kind of do some thinking about that. And so it's pretty cool. We've had it for years. Yeah, that's right.
That's why he came home interested in archaeology. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the features is EDOC, which is like a vast majority of the colleges do accept the college application process, kind of the paperwork through the Naviance platform. So we're not mailing out bulk mail anymore. Man, we used to do that all the time, but now it's all done electronically. The vast majority of them use that's sort of a separate feature. But yes, when you go home, say, hey, I heard you had a Naviance account. Can you open? I'd love to see what you got in there. And there should be an ICAP template where they're doing individual career and academic planning, which is sort of a Missouri thing. So Naviance is the platform and ICAP is like the plan. And we give them activities to, and that's it. There's actually an ICAP flyer right there, I think. Is that what that is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's kind of a map that people can leave with tonight.
Yeah.
But essentially, there's a menu of things that students can engage on Naviance. I mean, you can build a resume on there, you can explore careers, you know, the options are limitless, you know, like you basically, the more time you spend in there, the more helpful it can be. So
students do resumes in there and connect to colleges, because my student hasn't shared that information. I'm just wondering, how much should I expect them to know?
Yeah.
And how much is us digging in there with them?
That's a really great question. I don't know all the kids, like, I think their question like, oh yeah, I think I did hear something about that. So I don't think this is a growth area for us as a district. We've had this platform for a long time. I think it's a growth area for us, both in terms of getting students more regularly in the Naviance space. And we're really trying to get parents to be more engaged with it as well. Again, this is a growth area. We want to do better by that. So if I ask a student about, do you think Naviance is that? I'm like, oh, maybe, yeah, but they're not in it all the time.
Yeah.
But they'll probably have some awareness that they have a Naviance account. It'll look familiar to them. Oh yeah, I get this sometimes. I'll get them to learn an academic lab to do an assessment. But that's why it's, if you have the time and bandwidth and they're interested, opening their account and sharing it with you, that's something you guys could visit together. Yeah.
I would also say, depending on the grade level of your student, especially if they are a senior or a junior, they've talked to me or Hachark about Naviance, just because it's a great platform for us to be able to communicate with the school, send those documents that students will need for the college application, like transcripts, school reports, mid-report. So if they haven't met with me, please encourage your students to meet.
This is different than the common.
The Common App's different.
Yes.
Different.
Yeah.
You guys are recommending.
Common App is an application
Yeah.
that you can use for applying for colleges.
Yeah.
Naviance is a planning tool.
Okay.
So it's totally separate. Like essentially, when we're thinking about applying, students can apply to college either directly to the institution or they can use Common App.
Yeah.
Those are the
Right, yeah.
platforms for applying. Now, as far as Naviance and how that is structured, that's a college and career planning tool. So it's for all the planning action items, but in addition to it, it has some embedded features for internal research, structuring kind of like what their decision making is, doing some self-analysis, stuff like
I
that.
think the confusing part probably was the eDocs part. So the Common App, sometimes you would do a student application, do your essays, pick the schools, they get your kid's application. Our eDocs, which is a Naviance feature, allows us to send like letters of recommendation, transcripts. That's done separate from the Common App. So this is a nice platform because we used to have to print those, stamp them, mail them. But now we can send all the documents that support your student's application. So they're on Common App, they're dropping in their essay, picking 5 schools, hit submit. And then they set the way for our letters of recommendation. And then we can send those to eDocs so they complete the
Okay.
application
And
process.
some schools, just because they're on the Common App, they'll still have you write, 6 or 7 or 9 million additional essays. So, and also a lot of schools will offer an application tuition waiver if you ask. Or if you go to a day,
Yeah.
you visit the school, they will just hand you
They'll give
the
the waiver.
waiver.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
I would also add to that point, also, the more up to date a student's Naviance account is, the better that we as counselors can help support, just because at least like I'd say it is for both of us. We're really heavy like on the data, on the like being able to track, so we can track more so the process of like, as your student's school downloaded their transcripts, have you been accepted? Okay, let's start talking about the financials. Have you gotten that financial? Versus like pulling teeth of like, hey, help me, what are you working on? If you're updating that information, we can help you on the back end and making sure that you're well supported.
So just to piggyback on that a little bit, like, if my student asked a teacher for a letter of rec recently, and that person said, yeah, I'll do that, and why don't you send me the resume? We just put that like Google Doc, like, let's say what a high school resume should look like. But you're saying it'd be better if we did that in Naviance.
I don't think there's one better than the other. Naviance makes it easy because it has an outline that you can just put the information in. I'm glad that you brought up letters of rec, because letters of rec can also be requested from any teacher in-house through Naviance. So we kind of walk seniors through that, especially we're talking about that with juniors now.
Yeah.
But it's another way for us to kind of house that and then send it off.
Yeah.
But yeah, the resume example, if you already have one created, it's not going to be better than the template in Naviance. Naviance just makes it easy.
It being in Naviance would be easier because it's already there, and that sounds like that's where everybody's gonna use to send it.
I think that the ease comes from if students have their information in Naviance, it's ease for organization.
Like warehouse
It's
there.
all in a warehouse or one folder, because Naviance becomes like their account. But we have students saying, no, I want to do it this way, and that's okay too. But Naviance has some features that students can tap into that can be very helpful. And the more students have their accounts updated, like when we have like a scholarship that comes into our building, and maybe it's a niche scholarship, maybe it has to do with IT, or maybe it has to do with political science. If we know the students already have their information with that flagged as a high interest area, it's a quick fix for us to grab, student interest groups. So that part's nice too.
Okay. We're getting ready to get zoomed out.
I think all we're missing is a round of applause.
Yeah, it's like, well, I wanted to, this actually was great. Like I was looking, when I got the opportunity to kind of fill in for Loretta, I'm like, yeah, I love this stuff. So, but I wanted to, oh, hey, Loretta. But I wanted to thank you, Johnny, you, Katie, and you, Carolyn, for coming in. I appreciate your time. It was super insightful. I want to learn something from guests. Thank you all for coming. This will be recorded on the website at some point, maybe by tomorrow.
If you say so.
I mean, next week.
Thank you.